The Splash Brothers are no more. With Klay Thompson signing a deal with the Dallas Mavericks this offseason, one of the best and most influential duos in NBA history is no more. This duo was the core of the Dub Nation dynasty, a dynasty throughout the 2010s that won 4 rings together, including 3 in 4 years, went to 5 straight finals, and finished with a 4-2 overall finals record. However, since the turn of the decade, the Warriors have struggled. They have only made the 16-team playoffs twice since 2019-2020. The Splash Brothers won their 4th championship in 2021-22 and lost in the second round the next year. Outside of that, they have missed the playoffs or lost in the play-in. Today, we will talk about the downfall of the Warriors dynasty of the 2010s and what led to Klay Thompson going to Dallas. After losing to Kawhi and the Toronto Raptors in the 2019 NBA Finals, the Warriors' core flipped over. KD went to the Nets, Boogie went to the Lakers, Iggy was shipped to Memphis, and Shaun Livingston was waived. These 4, especially Durant, Iggy, and Livingston, were massive pieces of the dynasty's puzzle. However, the Warriors had a good draft, scooping up Jordan Poole and Eric Pascal. They also got D'Angelo Russell in the signing trade that lost them KD. The team was expected to still be a contender, even with Klay out for the season with a torn ACL. It would be a struggle, but Steph was still playing at an MVP level and was expected to keep them competitive. Then, disaster struck. Steph Curry broke his hand and only played 5 games for Golden State in the 2019-20 season. This season instantly became a tank season. By February 6th, the team was 12-40. They were active at the trade deadline, making one of the biggest deals of the deadline. The Warriors packaged D'Lo and others to the Timberwolves for Andrew Wiggins and a 2021 first and second round pick. Wiggins and that first come into play later. The Warriors also traded Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson to Philly for picks. The Warriors went full on tank, finishing 15-50 in the shortened season. It paid off as the Warriors were rewarded the 2nd pick in the 2020 draft. In the 2020 draft, Ant went number 1 to the Timberwolves, leaving the Warriors with the choice of the best fit for their team in center James Wiseman, or the best available player in LaMelo Ball, or what was believed to be the best available player at the time. Golden State chose to go for fit and selected Wiseman at number 2. The one fault of the Warriors dynasty is that they never truly had an elite dominant center. They were hoping that they found or at least could develop Wiseman into that. The 2020 offseason was quiet for Golden State in free agency. The biggest move was flipping those picks from the Alex Burks trade for Kelly Oubre Jr. However, disaster struck in Klay Thompson's rehab. Thompson tore his Achilles and would miss his 2nd straight season. Absolutely heartbreaking for Golden State, and once again, the season was a struggle. Curry was a one-man show, averaging 32 points per game. The Warriors were above 500 in the shortened season, finishing 39-33. However, this landed them in the first ever NBA play-in tournament, where the Warriors lost by 3 to the Lakers in the 7-8 game, with Curry scoring 37 points, and then losing to the Grizzlies by 5 in the 8-seed game, missing the playoffs. Remember that first-round pick that the Warriors got alongside Wiggins? That became the number 7 overall pick in the 2021 draft, which Golden State used to draft Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors also held number 14, where they selected Moses Moody. A solid haul in the draft, especially for where they are in the draft. They really only missed out on one guy. Alfred Sengun was available at number 14 and was taken at 16, and he could have been the solution at center. In the 2021 offseason, the Warriors brought back Iggy and signed Otto Porter Jr. They traded Eric Pascal to the Jazz and lost Kelly Oubre to the Hornets. 2021-2022 was Klay's first season back, and it was a vintage Warriors Dub Nation season. The Warriors made no massive trades, cruised through the season, and finished 3rd in the Western Conference with a 53-29 record. The Warriors dropped a total of 4 games on their path to a finals matchup with Boston, winning 4-1 to Denver, 4-2 to Memphis, and 4-1 to Dallas. They then went on to win the NBA Finals 4-2 over Boston, and Steph won his first Finals MVP. Looking back, the Warriors caught every single one of these teams at the perfect time to beat them. All of these teams, excluding the injured Grizzlies, were contenders 3 years later in this year's postseason. Since winning their 4th championship, it's been downhill for Golden State. On paper, the Warriors had an okay offseason. They signed Dante DiVincenzo and drafted Patrick Baldwin at number 28, who was one of the top prospects of the class coming out of high school. They did lose a few contributors in free agency, however, losing Otto Porter and Gary Payton. The 2022-23 season was not as dominant as the season prior. At the trade deadline, the Warriors were just one game above 500 at 28-27. On February 9th, 2023, the Warriors officially ended the James Wiseman experiment, trading him to the Pistons in a 4-team deal that landed him Gary Payton, the guy who just left, and 2 second-round picks. Today, Wiseman has recently signed with the Pacers, joining his 3rd team in just 3 years. The rest of the season was not much of an improvement, as Golden State finished as the 6th seed with a 44-38 record. The Warriors beat the interstate rival Kings in a 7-game series, being carried by a great series from Stephen Curry, putting up 34, 5, and 5 a night. Staying in California for round 2, the Warriors lost in 6 to the Lakers, as Curry could not repeat the same insane stat line for round 2. Still putting up 27, 6, and 8 a night, and led the series in scoring though. In last year's 2023 draft, the Warriors took Brandon Podjevsky at number 19. I think after one season is way too early to say that they got this pick wrong. This pick needs more time to see if this was the wrong pick. But right now, I think it's a solid pick. This last season was, even looking back 1 year later, a really bad one. The Jordan Poole-Chris Paul trade, in which the Warriors gave up Poole, Patrick Baldwin, Ryan Hollins, a 1st and a 2nd, all for just a 38-year-old Chris Paul, was even at the time an interesting one, and it has since aged poorly, as we will get into later. The Warriors also lost DiVincenzo to the Knicks, and Iggy retired. Their big free agency get, Corey Joseph or Dario Saric. You pick. This last NBA season was a struggle. The old core started to show their age. I personally mentioned them in my trade deadline video as a team that needed to blow it up. However, they stayed put and finished 46-36 as the 10th seed of the West. They got blown up by the Kings in the 9-10 game of this year's play-in tournament. And just like that, the Splash Brothers played their last game together. In Klay's last game as a Warrior, he shot 0 for 10 and 0 for 6 from 3, which has become a meme since. But this doesn't resemble Klay Thompson at all since returning from injury. In 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023, Klay statistically played at just as high of a level as he had his whole prime. Even in 2023, 2024, Klay was still an 18-point per game guy, shooting 39% from 3. Numbers that are still very good and just slightly below his numbers throughout his prime. This offseason has been a disaster for the Warriors. Klay Thompson left to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. Chris Paul was waived and is now a Spur. The Warriors have made some moves, headlined by signing Buddy Hield to a 3-year deal. DeAnthony Melton also signed a 1-year deal. These two shooters will look to replace Klay moving forward, as Hield shot 39% from 3 and Melton shot 36%. They also signed Kyle Anderson for 3 years. He's a non-shooter, but can contribute for the Warriors. However, this is a team that looks nothing like the Warriors that dominated the 2010s. Only 3 players are still Warriors from the 2017-2018 Warriors, the last true installment of the Dub Nation dynasty. Those players are Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. Green is seen by most as a system player today, and Looney is a career backup center. Curry is the only player from the Dub Nation dynasty that is still playing at the same level they did back then and is still on the Warriors. A dynasty has fallen. The Splash Brothers redesigned how basketball is played, winning championships and being the leading modernizers of the three-point shooting in today's NBA. 13 years together, 6 finals appearances, and 4 rings from the Splash Brothers. Now, Steph Curry stands alone as the only Splash Brother left in Golden State. In my personal opinion, I think Steph Curry will likely keep this team from tanking in the next few years. I think with Curry staying healthy, this team at the minimum wins 30 games a year at worst. However, I don't think this team is strong enough to contend year over year or even be a strong playoff team. It'll be interesting to see what the Warriors do moving forward. I don't see a world where Curry isn't a Warrior, but I don't really see how they can rebuild with him here. If they can't figure something out, I can see the end of Curry's career being a lot like the end of Kobe's. Not competing, but not being bad enough to fully commit to a rebuild. However, there are enough young guys on this roster that if development goes well and the front office makes the right draft picks and the right moves in free agency, 2024, 2025 could just be 2019, 2020 all over again. A 1-year tank leading to competing. Curry's a good enough player to play high-level competitive basketball until he retires. What are your thoughts? Will Golden State still be competitive? Will Klay Thompson work out in Dallas? Let me know below, and thank you for watching.